thought the services were lovely.
Give it. Nobody talked about the good stuff.
She takes pills, Valium, Vicodin, Xanax.
That stunt she pulled. She smuggled a bottle of Darvocet in her.
Tracy, tell me about adapting your own play for the screenplay. Was it difficult determining what got cut, what got pushed to the forefront? What were the challenges in that?
It's just a question of finding those places where pictures can substitute for words without losing the rhythm, the story, and especially the humor of the piece. I mean, the humor is kind of the thing that makes it go, and so we were very conscious about trying to preserve that moving forward.
Tell me about finding these characters. There's so much rich history that everyone has in this film.
We talked about our backstory. We figured out where he made his money, where we lived, how big our house was, who spent time with us, and also we've known each other for 33 years.
That helps.
That really helps.
Chris, this is your second film with John Wells, of course, after Company Men. Do the two of you have a shorthand being developed at this point?
I think the only reason he approached me about August Osage was because we had done The Company Men a couple of years before that, and thank goodness that happened. I'd be crying the blues if I wasn't a part of this.
I spent most of my time actually annotating the scripts and talking to the actors about what things mean to them individually. What does that line say about something that happened in the family before? How does that relate to how you feel about how you're treated in the family? Is that something you've heard before? Is that something you know? Is that something you don't know? So we spend a lot of time talking about what people are doing when they're not speaking.
Because it really was a historic excavation, as it were, to figure out who these people were and why they behave this way. And I found that going back and back and back, who came before, who spoke before, who did this, and finding the ancestral genesis of this insanity was hugely informative for just not even understanding her, but being able to act the way that she did without any kind of judgment.
I want to talk about the table scene, actually, which I could watch on a loop.
Yeah.
Is there a pressure to really bring your A game all the time?
It wasn't even that conscious. I think, you know, we all just felt it. It's all already there. They provided the time, the place, the arena for it. And then Meryl and Julia and the rest of the cast delivered it.
Nobody's as they seem in this movie, and my character being the youngest sister, she probably was the most neglected and lives in a fantasy land of everything's all right, everything's rosy, and of course we know underneath it's kind of desperate and heartbreaking.
I think every one of these characters is there for a reason. Tracy didn't have them just as like a backdrop or to support somebody else. They each have their own story to tell. You could never imagine in the beginning of the movie what will happen to each of these people by the end.
For me, I kind of just like to choose roles based on if I feel connected to them and if I feel really passionate about them. And that's what I loved about this character, Jean, is that she's not like the typical teenage girl who's like, oh my god, I was that, you know? Like, it's not like that movie. It's like she actually has a real story inside of her.
I think the most heartbreaking moment for me after Abigail has been getting harangued for her vegetarianism, when you have the moment of switching to, I have seen her sneak a few cheeseburgers.
Right.
I don't know why that hit me so hard.
It's one just like kicking the shins after another, really.
In the best way.
Yeah, come see it.
I'm just truth-telling. Some people are antagonized by the truth.
When we were young, oh.